Good morning, walkers, and welcome to Yellowstone National Park. Today I'm going to take you on a little walk along the Fairy Creek Trail, I believe is what it's called. We're coming up here on Till Geyser, I think, and I'll bypass these people. It is mid-August and about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius, 21 I think. We're at around 7,300 feet in elevation, which is, I can't do the exact calculation, but 2,300 meters maybe, I'm guessing. Maybe a little less, a little more. In any case, this trail is super crowded. The parks in the US have been getting hammered with visitors this year. People want to get outside, they want some social distance, and the national parks and public lands are a great way to do that. This particular trailhead was fairly empty around 8 or 9 o'clock this morning when I drove past, and now at 11 it is chock-a-block full. People are parking out on the roads. Let's get a better look at this little pool here. Love that color. In the background you can see the Firehole River, which comes out of the Old Faithful area, gains up a lot of steam, no pun intended there, well maybe a little, through thermal features pouring in and other creeks. And I haven't actually hiked this trail before. I'm hoping to get some good views of Grand Prismatic, which is probably the second most famous thermal feature in the park. Getting the usual looks from people at the camera, watching me talk to myself, seemingly. And anyway, I think we're going to be able to look down on it. At least that's my hope. If you can tell, there is a lot of smoke in the air. That is partially from California fires and partially from a big fire over by Dillon, Montana, as well as a little one here in the park. People checking the trail there. You see a warning here about a bear frequenting the area. I do have bear spray. I really don't anticipate seeing any bears given this amount of people on the trail. Let's take a second to look at the Firehole River. You can see the steam rising off from the sides. All the algae and growth in there. Definitely warmer water than you would expect to find in a mountain river at 7,000 feet. Here's the downstream view. Neat old bridge. This is a really well maintained trail, a well traveled trail. It goes on for quite a ways beyond Grand Prismatic, but we'll have to see how far we want to go after that, how long it takes us to get over there. I think it's a mile and a half, not that far. What else? Give us a comment down below if you've got some information about Yellowstone, your trips to Yellowstone. I love personal stories, personal corrections, even connections, even the occasional correction when it's put nicely. I find those very helpful. Sometimes I do make mistakes, either through omission or error, and I like to make sure that we get the most accurate info out there. It is, I don't think I told you, it's mid-August, mid to late August. I think it's August 24th today. Strange summer. But definitely glad to have these public spaces where we can all spread out a little bit. I came down from Livingston, where I live, and this morning early, and the smoke made for an interesting sunrise. Adjust the microphone a little bit here. Beautiful orange color, eerie though. And then as we come from the junction with the Madison down this way, you start to see a lot of different geysers and steam rising and the sun catching the steam. Pretty amazing and understandable why people hundreds of years ago were so blown away by this area. Adjusting my focus here a little bit just to make sure I get it right. I'm using a DJI Osmo Pocket camera for this, as well as a very cheap vertical axis stabilizer. It's supposed to take the up and down motion out of it, but you kind of get what you pay for, and I didn't pay much. See the highway right over there. I get some varying feedback about whether to just keep the camera pointed straight ahead or off to the side. You know, pointing off to the side can be a little disorienting for people on treadmill or running, but on the other hand, I get a lot of people saying they like seeing the details and asking me to show more. So I think I'm going to err on the side of the latter, but I'll try to keep my movements slower. I don't want anybody to make a sudden turn on their treadmill and have an incident. These crowded trails make for interesting filming because I feel like it gets a little monotonous following a certain group of people. I don't want to make them the center of attention. On the other hand, I can normally power walk through people. I'm 2 meters tall, 6'6", and long legs, and I can just pass most people, but also don't want to end our walk too quickly. This trail would be beautiful in the morning and evening, I think. The light it's pretty exposed during midday. Luckily we have a fair amount of the smoke to take some of the bite off. And it's only 70 degrees or so. It's supposed to get up to 80 today. It's at like 27 Celsius. Just to note, there is another parking area and access to Grand Prismatic and a few other nearby geysers up ahead, so you'll see people walking around down there. I chose not to go to that one because the path was much shorter. It's just a little lollipop trail. Saying that over there is the Midway Geyser Basin, or maybe this whole thing is. If you can see these geysers in the early morning or evening when the light is low, it's pretty spectacular. It's interesting to be walking along here with these power lines. Seems a little strange to have that in the middle of a park, but you have to get electricity into these hotels and that sort of thing somehow. We're about, 5-10 miles from Old Faithful, which has a lot of stores and hotels and visitor centers and all sorts of fun stuff. Looks like the trail splits here. We're going to go up to the overlook, and maybe we'll come back and continue on along the FairyFalls trail. I think I call it Fairy Lake. If I start to huff and puff a little bit, pardon me, it's smoky. And we're at 7,300 feet, as I said earlier. Sorry about that. Almost to the overlook. I'll put my mask on just for fun. Got my 10,000 steps on my Fitbit. You can see why this is famous. Look at all those colors.
Worth it. Yeah.
The colors are so vibrant, and it's pretty impressive, the gradations of them, which is actually due to temperature, not to mineral content or any other, the color of the rock. The extremophiles, I think we're going to try this route down. I'm sure there's no way we could possibly get in trouble doing this. The extremophiles, the species of growth in those ponds, varies by temperature. They've each found their little niches, and each has a different color. So you get that rainbow pattern, which is super cool, and why that particular place has gotten so famous and has so many photographs taken of it. Typically, if you see a photo of Yellowstone these days, it's of Grand Prismatic. It would be awesome to get a drone eye view, but they are illegal in the park. When they first started coming out, those drones, a couple people crashed them into the lake, and I think one into Grand Prismatic, and they've got a lot of toxic chemicals in them, in the circuitry and in the battery, and they could really mess up the natural balance in these places. You can see, looking out over the hills here how much smoke there really is. Visibility's maybe a couple miles, which to someone back east where it's really humid might seem like a lot, but here it's barely anything. And of course all the particulates are not good for people with respiratory illnesses or disabilities. And we're back down to the main trail, and I'm going to just tuck down here, show you a ground level view of the geyser basin. You can see some people out there on the boardwalk, and to the right of them is Grand Prismatic. I don't know if you can see kind of the colors being reflected off of from the water up into the steam, but there's like a, I'm wearing polarized sunglasses, and there's a little green bluish hue along the base. It's really kind of cool. Now I wouldn't want to walk out onto that area. The water's very hot. The ecosystem is extremely delicate. You could break through and you would certainly damage that. Plus you'd be liable for fines in the realm of tens of thousands of dollars, which I wish they would do more of, because it seems like people that go out there and walk on them get off pretty easily, in my opinion. Let's continue on. Hi there. Another view. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this right here, and then I'll restart over from the boardwalk over there. So hang with us, and in just a few snaps of a second, we'll be over there in that parking lot and walking up along those boardwalks. So, okay, here we are at the other side of the Firehole River, really. The lookout is up there. You can see the water from the geyser basin right there, and that beautiful color and the way it's carving through the limestone. There's a path down here, but It says no walking, so I'm gonna avoid that. Might be just down that way, but everything is so crowded. People are parked up along the road here on this side, and it's even worse on the other side. We're gonna walk, oh, I'd say a quarter mile before we can get into the parking area and the trail system. But luckily they have these pullouts where overflow parking can be, and honestly it's not that far, so why not? As I passed earlier, I glanced over and saw a truck pulling out of a spot, and I thought, aha. But then by the time I could turn into the parking lot, about 10 other cars had already pulled in ahead of me, so I just looped out, came back down this way, and pulled a U-turn into the pullout there, where a bunch of other people had parked. And it's not that far of a walk, and that's what we're all about anyway, is walking, so I thought, why not? I'm going to turn this microphone down just a little bit, and I'm going to cut down to the river, because it looks like this part of the trail might be open, and we'll get a better view of some of these geysers flowing into the water, into the river. You can see the steam and the orange up ahead, a little bit of green. I think I left my mask in the car. That's not okay. Oh, here it is. You're not allowed to fish or swim in this area. Oh good, I thought I was going to have to walk all the way up to the vehicle turn-in. It's getting to be like a theme park here. It's an Excelsior geyser crater. You can see it burbling, boiling. Love that blue color. So in the 1880s, this geyser exploded, and you can see the actual crater there. Obviously there's been a lot of erosion since, but the force must have been pretty spectacular.
Oh, they all quit. They were just bubbling like crazy a minute ago.
You can see the heart of it down there, ebbing and flowing. Look at that blue. If you look straight across there, just in the notch, below the notch, you can see the overlook where we were earlier. Sorry for the wind noise. See the edges that are so colorful, and these little ledges that are formed as the water slowly goes down and calcifies, little ridges. Excuse me.
Really, you were pointing it up.
Thank you. Love these oranges. Excuse me. That is, of course, that's that's Grand Prismatic, and there's a wind coming off. The differences in heat, temperature. Look at that little whirlwind over there. See some, looks like bison hoof prints. There, of course, are the only ones allowed to to walk around out there. Can do a lot of damage in here. I spoke about that earlier, but you can see how delicate these places are. On the ground. We're going to come up on Opal Pool, I think is what it's called. They've replaced this boardwalk. They've taken the wood out and used a synthetic board. I think Trex is one of the brand names that makes this type of stuff. And it's great because I think it's probably made from recycled materials, but it's a little slick when it gets wet. Opal Pool. Maybe this is Opal Pool. I wish I had a polarizer filter for this. Really see the colors pop. I'll do what I can in post. It's a weird sensation to have that hot steam blowing by you, and then all of a sudden a cool dry wind evaporates the moisture. Okay, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this tour of Grand Prismatic and FairyFalls Trail. Give us a like, leave us a comment on your thoughts and stories and corrections and accolades if you care to do that. And subscribe if you wouldn't mind doing that. That helps me out a lot. And but mainly come back next time. In the meantime, happy walking.